That is so that's the stream notification. That's the stream notification. It's yeah. I am gonna grab myself a drink so that I'm not drinkless. You're new gen when it comes to streaming. Yeah, yeah, it's something that I put in. I forgot who did it. I forgot who did it first. But it's basically like it's to get people to click on. It's to get people to watch stream. Yep. We're playing Minecraft today, guys. I am here for the stream. Yeah, you are. It works. It works pretty good. Also, I started stream like a couple minutes late. The full countdown isn't gonna go down. It's actually gonna change like right now. There we go. Okay, first of all, before we jump right into oops, no wait, there's a gun. Hard. We're gonna take a look at what I've been kind of thinking about doing in the cave. Because if you have watched any of my previous Minecraft streams recently, you will notice I live in a cave. Also, I did a crap ton of stuff in that cave. Holy frames. Oh my gosh. But a couple things. So this is like the cave wall. Just ignore that stuff, by the way. I was trying. Um these would be the cave walls. I would dig in, and I got a mod to where you can hang it on the side. I got really upset because I couldn't put it right here on the stairs. But on the inside, so if you go on the inside, I was thinking this could be on the inside. So from like the outside, it just kind of looks like this. It's mining time. But yeah, that's the idea because I finally found the pine planks and I love the green. But I'm trying to think, what should we use as a flooring? Cuz I was at first thinking of going with like some stone bricks. Oh, dang it. But I am not 100% sure about the stone bricks. I don't know why the doors keep on doing that. I was thinking of either stone, like, maybe stone bricks would be cool. But it would also be a lot of resources. Because I don't know how big I'm going to make it. Because I have an idea on where I'm going to start placing it. But I'm not 100% sure, like, about the, like, how big it's going to be. So sizing. um, I was kind of, like, looking at some of the stuff for, like, this was gonna be my first two, trying to figure out what the walls would be like. It didn't go well, as you can see. It did not go well. But this looks, honestly, I'm pretty happy about this design. And I kind of took photos of it. But yeah, we're gonna go into the hardcore world, which is, oops, no, wait, there's a, oops, no, wait, that's a gun. Hard. You gotta put emphasis on the hard. Also, oh, my whole computer just froze. What the hell? Hello? Hello? Um, whoa. That was odd. That was okay. We're back. Holy frames. Okay, but I did a couple things off stream and whatnot. Like, I was like playing. What is going on? Hello? Where are my frames? I was doing a couple things. I was upgrading the villagers. I don't know if I did this on or off stream, but I kind of like finished the spider grinder. Oh, I did put in a little chest system right here. Just like a simple hopper to chest so I can just have all the items like that. What else did I do? I got a cat. That was this morning. And last night I fell asleep at right here. I built a little mini house with the fur. And I also enchanted a lore 3 mending and like fishing rod. So all I have to do is just do that and then it'll automatically catch fish. And it did a lot. I sold most of it, but there's like all of this, all of this, all of this, like that I caught last night. There was an Enderman this morning in the boat as well. I killed it, but then the zombie villager that I caught also kind of picked it up. I'm kind of mad about that. This was the first iteration of the AFK, like, fish area where I just had, like, because I got a mod where if you put, like, a bell on your offhand and fish, it makes it ding. It's pretty cool. I also upgraded my backpack. That was pretty easy to do. All you gotta do is just, get the, like, little upgrade thingy, and then you surround it with iron, and then you surround it with gold to make it this size. I also added the furnace function and where it feeds you automatically with the food in your inventory. So like baked potatoes, the fish, the bread. That's what I've got to feed me. That's how I AFK'd so long because I was like, I am not gonna risk, you know, I'm not gonna risk it. We still need a name for the sheep. We still need a name for it. What else? What else? Oh yeah, what I've been doing as well is I've just been like making them stand, and then when they wake up, when I wake up, usually I get a gift. I don't think I got one this morning, but yeah. I did a little bit of chest organization. So like this is like my ores. I think I already did a lot of that. Welcome back. But yeah, I've got it to where it's like wood right here, mining stuff right here, which I'm actually trying to get that stone, so I'm not going to get rid of that. No changes with this, but we are, like, preemptively, I think that's the right word, getting a whole bunch of stone, just so that I can turn into stone bricks. But my idea is putting the house over here in this corner. Or not corner, but this area. Because all I'd have to do is just kind of like fill this spot in, and then make it to where it's like got a wall. And then I just gotta dig into that wall, and then empty out all of this space, and then boom. Perfect. Oh, and another thing that I did, where is it? Where's my hoe? There's my hoe. I was also like upgrading my tools as well. So like yes, it's not efficiency 5, but it's efficiency 4. I bought like a whole bunch of these from the toolsmith. Um Also toolsmith. I think that one was from the. Also, I don't know how people play on, like, I'm not good on this game. Oh yeah, I'm not good either. I kid you not, all of this progress, most of it was AFK. This is day 90 on this world. I have not done anything. I don't even have a full thing of diamond yet. And this helmet was made by accident. On stream, I literally had just gotten diamonds. Why are they posted up like that? What the hell? I'm not even gonna ask. Anyways, do I have any sellable items? No, not really. But yeah, which one did I get? I think I got it from the prospector. Nope, he just gives normal. Dang, what's that with piercing and breaking? I got like a whole bunch of these just to make this, and I got one of the mending books from. I'm just trying to find. Oh, there it is. Oh wait, there's. Oh, I could have done that instead. I could have gotten another spider slayer. That's how I got the axe, and I'm gonna put mending on it, which, where is my mending book? There it is. I'm gonna put that on it whenever I have enough levels. The mending villager is right here. I also got the one that gives the villagers names. This is Austin. He's the only jobless person in here. Typical for an Austin. This is Coretta. This is Frank. He's a prospector. Danae? Danae is the lumberjack. Vincenzo. Marla. There's Austin again. Well, Terrence. Who are you again? You're Abram. Who are you again? Pearly. But yeah, there's a lot. Who was the other farmer though? Jetty? But yeah. Ooh, another mod that I have. I've got a lot of quality of life mods because it's like, I can't do it without them anymore. I was on Tulip, I was on Rock, well, I made Rock, but I was on Tulip SMP, I was on Rock SMP, and I was on Bite SMP. We were like, yeah, we need some of the, like, we need the backpack mod especially. My backpack, I made it to where it's a lapis lazuli, where you can actually just have it to where it gives you, there's a 15% chance to double the amount of incoming experience. And also I found pine trees. I think they were literally on top of the mountain right up there. I think they were over there. They were either there or over on this side. They might be on this side. Random thing, but you're looking for another game to stream and just found that Hades is on Xbox. Ah, that is neat. But yeah, I can shift and break these, and it automatically also replaces the sapling as well. So I can easily do that. Apparently this is supposed to be worked with like vein miner as well, but I'm like, I don't want to do vein miner. But yeah, I think that's gonna be, oh, holy crap. I think that's gonna be our first thing that we do. So one thing I really want to do is get rid of this, but I do have to start placing down some torches at least. Don't worry, guys. They're just the structurally support. Like they're just to support the structures, you know. Just typical stuff. And honestly, I need to. Oh, there's a calico. Ooh. I think I might have to also take out the floor as well. So technically I'll have to go back down like this, which means I have to deal with the problem of the ravine that I kind of filled over. Which it's just gonna be filled over, but one block down. In the fabric of time, or in the space. Isn't Hades the one game, I think Water was playing it, where you're like, you got like a whole bunch of lives or something, or like it keeps on, you're in like a time loop or something. I don't know how to explain it. I completely forgot. Brain gone. Is your unity what it all means? Everyone goes with the passage of time, so whether it's cancer. Oh my gosh, I thought I placed a floating torch down there. I was about to be like, how the hell did I do that? The hell passed me? I should probably finish this, because I think I got attacked by like a skeleton trying to, yeah, that's where I almost got attacked by a skeleton. Because I was like, did I not light up this entire area? No, I did not. I only lit up a very little part of it. Yay! Yeah, I think I might just make a wall like that goes all the way this way so that we have all of this space right here. I can't believe I dug out that entire spider spawner with fucking stone tools. Stone tools! I used stone tools on that. Because I had one singular iron pickaxe. That's wild. That is wild. Honestly, I can't wait till I get like something silk touch pickaxe, because I feel like, because what I did on Tulip especially is I made these like big towers of just the ores, and then I like mined it all at once with Fortune 3. Like I used my silk touch most of the time, but then on everything else I just used Fortune 3. Looking up or looking down. Well, he was wearing some rubber shoes and wrapped a poison ivy noose around his lotus juggler when they came. When they found him with them to every one of his love and his face. Wee! Man, I'm off today, but I'm already looking forward to my next off day. That's sad. Why can't I just become a full-time streamer now? Just my for what? For what? For what it's worth. If it was gonna kill you, boy, it would have by now. For what? For what? For what it's worth. There's no more looking back, it's looking up or looking down. Okay, I think this is a good start. So I think what I should start doing is building the wall. Which means this... Oh, I'm probably gonna need a lot more stone, actually. Oh, I'm gonna need a lot more stone. So let me just grab all of my cobblestone. We're just gonna do that real quick. Oop. I just want them to have like an even amount. Holding, as it were, a mirror up to your mirror. It's just something people do. What do you mean on your abacus? Check your abacus. Learn to be an animal instead. Okay, well that's all going on. We are going to start this. I forgot that I had the one where it just feeds you randomly. Oh, that's gonna be a tall wall. Oh gosh. Oh gosh, what am I getting myself into? We're just gonna fill in this part as well. To the back. So try to look forward now. For what? For what? For what it's worth. If it was gonna get you, boy, you would have by now. We're gonna ignore the fact that that gravel did not fall yet, and I'm actually surprised that it did not fall. Okay, we just gotta... Fuck. Can we still reach it from here? Yes, we can. Let's go. Skin. That's why you never find a worm within, but few bad ones won't spoil the eye. We're just gonna put one up there, so, you know, no bad guys spawn in randomly in the middle of the night. Because I sleep right over there. Okay, I might have overestimated how much stone we needed, but at the same time, like, I still kind of need to build this wall. Because then we have to find out, like, where we want to put the door. Who'd wanna be human anyway? Here we go. It's a wall. Oh my gosh, it looks so weird. That looks so weird. Let me pull up a photo real quick. Because I just took a photo of the screen. Huh. I think my door should kind of be like this. So that'll be the door part. And so we go, this part will be trap doors. And then I think we go, I think it's one more. I think that's how we did it. To the collective minds, but who we're to die, love to, scared to die, too alien to take you home. But at the sight of my reflection in your eyes, along here. Strange. So, what did I get myself into? And also, maybe I could take the villagers from up there and then move them down here as well. Do you think? What do you think? What do you think about that, Diablo? You know what? I'm naming the cat Diablo. You know what? Yeah, you're gonna be named Diablo. Did I build my... I mean, maybe we could just do it like that. Also, there's some coal right here that I would definitely... Oh, it's just one piece. A singular piece of coal. So we could probably, like, do something like that. Oh, there goes all that gravel. There we go. It's like a little mountain of gravel. There we go. What if it fell on this side too? No. Okay. I'm gonna quickly... Whoa! Whoa, lag there. Holy cow, it just froze my entire stuff. It just froze everything, bro. Okay, we're gonna do this real quick, just a couple blocks in, just so that we can get this door shape real quick. So, I mainly use pine. Let's just do that. So I've got like two of those. I've got obviously the door. What else do I've got? We have some stairs as well. Which I think that's a good amount of stairs. With an enemy like me who would need a friend, never mind, I'm drunk. So we also had a couple of these as well. So I'm just gonna get like 12 of those. And I think we also had some slabs as well. So we'll get like 14 of those. Because I think I need to start from the outermost edge and then make my way back in. So like, I think, how do I start this? Sorry, Hustler. Take my anxiety and my sobriety. I killed two birds with one stoner. So I think these two, and then it's like this, and then it goes back in like that. I think. So kind of like that. And then in these corners, well, actually it would be one in. So in these corners, it would have that, and then there, and then I think we have, I'm just gonna put that for now right there, and then I'll get that back. So that way, we can do that. And then like right here, it gets kind of odd because we go like that. I'll just put another one right here as well, just so that we can keep it even. Because we go like this, right? No, no, that's not stairs. No, that's just regular. Okay. So it's like that. Believe. I think we also put them right here too. Just so that we have like the stairs. And I think we do it like that so that we can get in the door. So this is like, right? Yeah. And then I think we're on to this stage. This one has planks going, well, the stairs going like that, it looks like. Because then we have trapdoors like right here. Thank you, Ko-Fi Bot! It's Ko-Fi Bot. I think we go like that. Is it like that? No? I cannot tell how I did this. I think I just did it 2 up straight like this. And then this is where the trapdoors go. And then we have one like that, one like, oh, not like that. One like that. I think we have one more. Nope, nope, not that way. Nope, nope. I messed that up. Whoopsies. I think it's just a regular plank on top like that. And we just go right. It looks like it. We do need our spruce trapdoors though. We definitely need our spruce trapdoors. Do we have any spruce on us? Yes, we do. Not me using both my backpack, my inventory crafting, as well as my... Oh my gosh. Okay. 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 I think I'm getting how I built this. That's not how I don't know why it doesn't want to... The doors don't want to cooperate with me. And then we just fill all this part. Because it's just what we do. Oh. Then we do that, and then wait, how do I do that part? Wait, no, we didn't cover it with this. Oh, that's not the right tool. Judge before the light color shows up, there becomes beyond reproach. Still intact. Oh, goes to Wonderland and to my overturned. That's what we did. Oh, that's not the right way. We did that. Okay. That looks... That definitely looks the same as what I built earlier. Then on the inside, all we see... Oh god, I made it... Oh no. Oh, I forgot how many stairs I use. Okay, I got a few options for my stream. I don't know if you... Hell yeah, I want to hear them. I want to hear your options. I'm gonna start off with 20. Because I think what I did... Wait, did I have the doors... No, I had... Yeah, I had them like that. Okay. How do I do that? I'm gonna have to look at the... I'm gonna have to look at the world. I'm gonna have to look at the other world. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to look at the other world. Build. How did I do that? Because I... Okay, we got Undertale, Ultra Kill, Silk Sun, Hades, One Shot. Okay. Okay. Minecraft. Oh, that's what I did. Oh, I'm a genius. Okay, I put them on the other side. Okay, okay. Honestly, I was kind of thinking about playing Undertale soon. I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking about playing it soon. Oh, my computer froze again. That's awesome. Am I back? Okay, so I had these on here. Literally. I didn't put it like that. I put it on the other side. No, I put it on this side. Nope, I didn't put it on that. I keep on putting it on the wrong side. Is this one, and then they go like that. And then I put some stairs like this. One more out. Let's take away these real quick. And we can actually... Oh, no, we cannot destroy those. Come on, get back over here. There we go. Ooh, if you want to play Undertale, could mod that. Huh. I've only done the pacifist route. I really did not. I literally was like, I did not want to kill Asgore. I did not want to kill Asgore. Especially, like, I literally was like crying on stream. I was like, I don't want to kill him. And my friends were like, you gotta kill him. And I'm like, I don't wanna. But the fight was like so hard. Both mentally and just like mentally. But modded Undertale would be pretty fun though. I feel like that would be a pretty fun stream idea. Deserve to die. Didn't I have another one that I really want to play would be Undertale Yellow. I feel like that would be really fun to play as well. But let's change these out just for spruce. Like that, just so that we have... There we go. And then... just we go two out like that. I have not played the new chapter. Like, I have not played Deltarune yet. I legitimately have not played Deltarune yet. I would love to play Deltarune, but it's like... Oh... Is that... Wait, is it raining? Oh, it's raining! Oh. Change that, it's so tough. Yeah, I need to play it. I really do need to play it. I really need to play it. I need to play it so badly. But at the same time, I'm like, oh gosh. We just need two, and so all we gotta do is we gotta take two torches. We gotta put them in the middle, and then we just surround them to make our two lanterns. And then we put one right there, and one right there, and there we go, it's all lit up. And we might change it a little bit. Like the wall especially, we might change it to have some, you know, like gravel or dirt patches. Oop, let's not knock my mouse away. Honestly, I really do need more Minecraft, like, fans watching my stream, because right now it's been a lot of Dandy's World, and it's like, I feel like I've been playing too much Dandy's World. Like, I've been playing a lot. You just realize that one shot wouldn't work because one, you're not good at puzzles, two, You've already started a game ages ago, and 3, some of the puzzles are on your PC itself. The stream wouldn't see it. Oh. Right. I'm not good at puzzles either. Isn't One Shot like with the cat character, that one cat character? I think I've seen gameplay of it like years ago. I, I think that's the right thing. I think that's what you're talking about. Speaking of Dandy's World, you got your goat Shelly earlier today. It's your ah. Nice, nice. I am considered a pro distractor. I am considered a pro distractor. It'll dance around my room. I know I'm gonna join you soon. Okay. Think I'm gonna also make the walls just green like this as well. You're the best at extracting? Yeah, I'm a good distractor. I don't like extracting that much. It just gets really, like, for me, my brain is like, you need to distract. And so even if I'm playing, like, earlier today, when I was playing as Shelly, I was trying to distract and, like, take the Twisteds to, our distractor, because they couldn't, for the life of them, get the Twisteds onto them. And, like, I kept on running out of stamina so fast because I was such a slow tune. I like Shelly whenever all the machines are completed, like, at once. You're a beast at extracting? Oh yeah, I'm a beast at distracting. I just realized I have the carry-on mod, so instead of having to, like, relocate all the chests, like, by breaking them, I can literally... Hold on, let me provide an example real quick. I'm pretty sure all I have to do is crouch and pick it up, but whenever I put it back down, does it... Oop, wrong way. Okay, it does. Okay, okay. So that works. I saw you on TV. You dressed up like a bee. Reminds me of the time. How it's gone and it's gone and it's gone. This is without you, and I really wanna hold you both tight and tell you you're mine, but instead I sing Mary-Kate and Ashley. I hope you understand that I love you a lot, and I wanna be your man, and I think that it'd be totally cool if I hung around your apartments. Were you the same June that I was playing with earlier? Yesterday, probably. I just remembered. You're, Salem Cat's friend, right? I think. I know that life without you would be sad. That would be bad. Mary-Kate and Lashley, I hope you understand that your loveliness blossomed, and I wanna hold your hand, and I think that it'd be totally cool if I hung around your apartment and enrolled in your school. That is like such a... It's very monotone. I just realized that song was very monotone. Unless if I'm just singing it wrong. Kate and Ashley, I hope you understand that I love you a lot and I wanna be your man, and I think No, it's just very monotone. How far apart did I have these? Three. Oh, I have them 6 apart. So what I could do, 4, 5, 6, is I could have these kind of add some non-uniformity to the walls. The lipstick on the mirror are the lyrics to my obituary. Cross my eyes, dot my T's. I was delivered, holding scissors. I live deliberately. I'm a quitter. I'm a winner anyway, 'cause I never agreed to participate in this game. I'll follow my dreams. No, they've all got me waking up screaming for me. After all, there's no I in team, and I'd rather be normal. Yes, so normal. I suggest that we keep this informal, 'cause a normal human being wouldn't need to pretend to be normal, to be normal. Well, I cannot believe that I'm normal all the way. I couldn't be, yeah. Come on and love me normally. I'm gonna get a drink real quick because my voice is kind of sounding like scratchy. Ah. Today's drink is strawberry lemonade from Aldi's. We love Aldi. I love Aldi's. I love going there. Rageous or escape is too. I forgot that my backpack feeds me. I was like, what the hell was that sound? I don't wanna get old, yeah. I'm myself to death, 'cause to be the afterlife of the party. I think I have to, like, oh, wait. There we go. That way that'll be all lit up. Normal, yes, so normal. 'Cause a normal human being would need to pretend to be normal, to be normal. Well, I'm believe in a world normal all the way. No, I couldn't be. Yeah, come on, and laugh with me normally. I like how the Minecraft streams, like, it's all, did I not? I don't think I did. Because usually, or like, what I had on the other, like, on the other one was doing this. I think I just need 8 more. Peg in the round hole of their hearts. Yeah. Perfect amount. And I think I might just go ahead and start doing stone plank, or not stone planks? Oh yes, stone planks. Stone slabs from now on, just so that it's, you know, not, too much to do. So that way we can have let it be normal, yes, so normal. I suggest that we keep this informal, 'cause a normal human being don't need no to pretend to be normal, to be normal. Least in the world, be normal all the way. I couldn't be, yeah. Come on, I said come on. Come on, yeah. I said, come on, yeah. Come on, and love me normally, yeah. Come on, and love me normally. Ooh, cool. I just got 6. I got that. What was that voice? What did I just? I got one. What the fuck? Okay. Ooh, lapis. How much do I get from 1? I got 7 from that. 2, 3, 4. 61 from 4. Holy shit. How much farther should I go? Oh, wrong thing. 3, 4, 5, and that means I need to start digging this part out. Good morning, white picket fences, barbed wire and trenches. In the painted lady, participation trophy wife, young blue-eyed baby. Yeah, this part I'm gonna have to dig out completely. But it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. But no one's home. Show Myers-Briggs. Okay, Ultra takes the village of faith, the whole culture. You to the playground, your eye on the ball, your head in the gutter, your brains on the wall. Oh, well, home is where the heart is. You ain't homeless, but you're heartless. It's the safest on the market, but you still gotta watch where you park it. So give me your half-a-life crisis. I can tell that you don't places. Well, parasites, I don't care what your blood type is. So I needed 1 more. Every single time I do a Minecraft world. Cave rat. I don't know what I was just doing there. I still need to dig into this wall. But no one's home. Show. Goes it down. Work gets around on his number stations, becomes radiation. The dog bites the postman. I think I might just go ahead and go with 6 instead. So that means that we need to take away all of this. I've tried my luck, we fucked on a bed of nails. I got Kuru from your. Apparently, Kuru is whenever you consume a part of like human brain, and so it basically kind of makes you go like crazy. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so this one. It's only culture, it's only culture, it's only culture's not your friend. Hey, fuck your culture. I ain't got no culture. It's only culture and it's more afraid of you than you're afraid. Come on, drink that blood. Didn't they want your blood? So don't apologize for being blue and cold. Blood, didn't they want your blood? So don't apologize for being blue and cold. We also need to put a torch right there and dig out this part. Just like this, and then we'll just like redig it out. I need to figure out how far I want this to go. Okay, then we're just gonna dig that out and then start digging all this. I really wish I had haste. Ooh, ooh, sleepy. Damn. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, filling up my coffee cup. One way to shake me up. I never wanted to sleep, but I can't forget. Moment tomorrow leaves a dead. You haven't paid it yet. I never wanted to sleep. Oh, brain was cynical. Inside this massive hole, into then it swallowed me. I never wanted to sleep. My skin see, can't remember my own name. Escape to sleep. A muzzled hound and tied and bound, a wild beast grind for release. I want my mouth so I may howl in songs of the trees. Okay, I think this is where it usually kind of, I think this is where it kind of meets up. So if I go this way, it should kind of match up with my stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was almost, I was almost perfect with that. I was like one block off. Holy shit. A muzzled hound untied and bound, a wild beast. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're just gonna do. And of course, this is gonna have like little rooms and like little caverns, I guess, inside. Okay, so this is 6. And so that should be right there, meaning we don't really have to cover this up, because this is going to be a corner one. Just like this. And always gotta have the light. Oh my gosh, can I stop placing down the wrong blocks? 4, 5. Just do this. There we go. Gonna fuck my way through college. 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. I'm gonna sleep because I live in my daydreams. 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be right there. I'm gonna sleep because you live in my daydreams. Yeah, because we also need to dig out this one as well. Got a shotgun in my pocket. I'm gonna sleep because you live in my daydreams. Why am I already getting sleepy? Come on, it's only 7:01 p.m. Although I do have work. Well, I have work at like 1. Because it's a Saturday. Okay. Just this entire column. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hello. and I knew you were. I come and go, was waiting for the world to end. Now that the truth is just a rule that you can bend, you crack the whip, shape shift and trick the past again. Send you my love on a wire, lift you up every time everyone goes away. It's a oh wait, wrong verse. Got balls of steel, got an automobile for a minimum wage. Got real estate, I'm putting it all up in outer space. Now that the truth is just a rule that you can bend, you crack the whip, shape-shifting trick, the past again. Send you my love on a wire, lift you up. I wonder how many phantoms I'm gonna get. Who's away? Ooh, it's a mechanical. Let's see, let's see. Because I know I haven't been to, like, well, I don't think I'm gonna get any phantoms, actually. I think I slept at the beginning of the stream. Well, how close are we to day 100? We are only at 92. I think that's all my paper, maybe. I don't know 100%. Is it all my paper? Oh, well, it's not all my sugar cane. Which actually turns out I can make a couple more pieces of paper. Wait, do I have any in the miscellaneous chest? No, I do not. We're gonna go ahead and take a tiny little break from house building just to wake up the villager. And I think actually someone else buys paper cheaper. Sorry, I'm like waking y'all up early. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Y'all don't. I think it's just string. Sorry about all that. Although you, I do wanna... There we go. Okay, you can go back to sleep for like 10 minutes. They're not going back to sleep. La 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 la. Wait, he actually bought all of my paper. Nice. Trajectory. Did I put all of my stone slabs? Yeah, I did. There we go. Oops. That was actually a perfect amount right there. I need more people in my chat. In my chat. There is nobody in my chat. There is no one in my chat. In my chat. It's pretty fucking lonely. Can I have some more Minecraft fans? Are you kidding me? Well, then we're just gonna go like that. And we're gonna go like that. And then we're gonna go like that. And we're gonna make a whole bunch more slabs. Either way, I'm gonna have to tear this all out. What the fuck am I doing? Oh my gosh, did I do it to- oh my gosh, I did that to multiple. Oh, I did it again. Building a house, a house. We're building a house, 'cause we are building a house. It's gonna be a nice house. It totally isn't in a cave. We are building a house. Oops. You don't have much light. You don't have much light. You don't have much light. But yeah, inside, at this point, you're starting to get the feeling of, oh, hey, you're not really in a cave. But then if you look over here, you're in a cave. And if you look over here, you're in a cave. But I fear we'll regret it one day. Yeah, I have the thing when you know. If I open wide, one of us is what's inside me or you. One of us is going to need to die. Oops. My hunger is real, but they say there's more to love than a meal. Ew, little bright, what do they know? I'm all appetite, you help me to grow. Oh my love, I want you to, but my desire may prove your doom. You have the thing I love, but the mutant in me is too much. Oopsies. There's that. Yeah, this definitely doesn't look like it's inside of a cave. If I taste you, will we know if love kills or makes you whole, tears you open, tastes you whole. Oh, don't worry, it's just an open floor concept, guys. Oh, hey, some copper. How many did I go? So that's 18. So I need 2 more of these. Ugh. Why have I done this to myself? Am I out of pine? That ain't good. I did not do anything. How much do I have up here? Okay, I have a little bit, but it's not that much. Holy cow. That just, like, got both of those. There we go. And we still need to get that one. There we go. We got just around 2 stacks. Oh, some more. Yeah, just around 2 stacks. Did that one immediately... Oh my gosh, that one immediately grew. Here we go. Now we got a little bit more to work with. Okay. We need to grab our spruce again. We have a lot of spruce. As you can probably tell, we have a lot of spruce because we've been cutting down a lot of trees. That's not the right way. That's the right way. Maybe we could have another entrance, just like not one as like fancy as the main entrance, but one that can like lead over to here, and then this could be like a little like animal area where we can have animals. Right, if these match up. Oh no. No. No, which one's not? Uh, you're lined up. You're lined up. Why are you not lined up? How many did I have right here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's got 5. Oh, fuck. This whole wall needs to be changed. Ugh. God damn it. Everyone sees you. Just wanna be you. Step on up, step on up. Step on him, step on him, step on up. Out in the limelight, Everyone sees you. I think that I might just wanna be you. This is the one that needs to be moved one over. That way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then that goes there. Right? Yeah. Fuck. Fuckity fuck. We are going... Well, we can't put up the axe. we just gotta adjust these. That's all we gotta do. Was there 5 on this one too? No, there's just 5 on that one. 3, 4, 5, 6. I can hear the spider spawning. 2, 3. And so this whole row needs its own right? Yeah. So those line up. Fuck. No. 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 Stay as normal. There we go. Can we call? Slept that night. And okay, that should be all the ones that were like that, and then all we gotta do is just change this wall out again for like the 4th time, because we had to change it out earlier. Of course. And all we gotta do is basically just switch all this back to its former thing. What on earth did I just do? I think that means that this one would be one, right? Oh, don't throw stuff. Jeez. 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, those match up. Yippee! And I think that I might just wanna be you. Thank you, Ko-Fi Bot, again. This is the only one in my chat right now. Sad times. Very sad time, because, you know, because I don't have any money in my chat. So lonely. I don't got nobody. Nobody to talk to. 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh. 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Three, 4, 5, 6. I'm just gonna make sure these line up again. Okay. I'm like switching between the walls and the floors because it's like I'm sitting here like, oh, I don't want to get too bored of the walls, and then I don't want to get too bored of the floors. Sha-la-la. That's good enough for me. It's good enough for me. So give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. That old time religion. It's good enough for me. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Can I not keep placing them on top of the no 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 on the slab? You can break a shovel when you break new ground. You dig dirt up when you dig deep down. You should know better than that by now. It's not profound to know you could toss your dirty shoes in my washing machine. Heart, baby, bang it up inside. I'm not wearing my usual lipstick. I thought maybe we could kiss tonight. Baby, will you kiss me already and toss your dirty shoes in my washing machine? Heart, baby, bang it up inside. Honestly, I think like look at if you look at journey map, like that looks cool. That's a cool lighting pattern. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm just gonna light it like that for now, just so that we can, you know, get our stuff together. Okay, that's 1, 2, whoa. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Woke up surprised you hadn't earned your fate. Have you ever felt like Atlas threw you back out on the axis and collapsing through the planet away? Everyone's just blood and an ice tray. A vampire picking flowers out in the sun. Run your diagnostic distance. Ooh, coal. Dial 911, and now we're singing. Ooh, could you take a look at me? Bad, am I bad? Am I bad? Am I really that bad? And now we're singing. Ooh, whatever you think of me. If you were in my shoes. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll just put that like there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then if I dig this way, it should hopefully match up. That's what I'm hoping, at least. I don't think it's matching up. Oh, it's because I haven't even built it yet. Oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. Okay. So I have those in the corners, and then I did one extra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that'll be in the corner, like right here, I think. And so this all will. Yeah, I will. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I lagged. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so these should match up. Not really. But we'll just dig out this entire area because why not? Thank you, Ko-Fi Bot. I think Ko-Fi Bot just did it. I think. I don't know. I don't. I saw something move, and so I was like, I think that's Ko-Fi Bot. why, but this cave had like so much grass in it. Everything and anything could happen. If everybody needs me, then we'll be in my coffin. Ad break. If you still want me, come and find me in my coffin. If you need me, I'll be in my coffin. Okay. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of like a big ballroom, kind of. Okay, how many are in between of these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there's 5. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so this would be like that. Should be 10. Would this be 10? 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that would be 10. That thunder scared the crap out of me there. Yay, big coal vein. Oh, I think I've been... Yeah, that's not aligned with the route. Damn. You could just see the Enderman teleporting everywhere, too. Oh, that's terrifying. I do not like Enderman, but I love them at the same time. It's like a love-hate relationship. They scare me, but at the same time, they're like so cool. I do need to get all this coal. Don't mind me while I just go ahead and grab it real quick. Damn. 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 Minecraft really saying, you need to go to bed. Who had you as Damn. Damn. Minecraft's really telling me to go to sleep. Is that on the surface or is that... Okay, that's on the surface. I was like, that better not be in like the one spot that isn't lit up yet. Salt on the glass, coke on the knife. Is there anyone who take my life? I didn't sign up for this. And today lose what yesterday won. Tomorrow I'll get something done. I'll just run. I'm gonna run out of time. But I'll tell you what, I'm not afraid to die. I'm more afraid of what might happen first. Either way, it's not like we'll get out alive. I know that this one is worse. Things useless, especially songs. The truth is that everything's wrong. Still sing along. I cannot stay like at that low of a voice when I'm singing. Oh my gosh. They say keep trucking, it's all in your mind. Jimmy, you're fine. End of the line, gaining speed, wrapping trees. But I'll tell you what, I'm not afraid to die. I'm more afraid of what might happen first. Either way, it's not like we'll get out of. Can't say that I know which one is worse. Look you in the eyes, you're just like an angel. It makes me cry. You're so special. You're so fucking special. But I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What the heck am I doing here? I don't belong here. 3, 4, 5, 6. God damn it, I have to redo this entire wall. I'm so special. I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. I'm so special. Start with this side. But I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. I'm a creep. I'm a nut job. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. Okay. Ooh. I think I can avoid that part mainly because there's gonna be some planks right here, or whatever it's called. So that's 6 right there, so that means that I can finally do this one, and it'll be 6 as well. And then we can just start from here. Oh, damn. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, my sneeze is causing lag. Damn. Damn. Oh my gosh. What are my allergies doing? Ugh. Jeez. I don't think I meant 2 stacks of stone. I meant 2 stacks of herbs. I don't know what I'm talking about, actually. Oof. Oh, wait, actually, I should get some more levels, honestly. Come on. Aim. Aim. There we go. So this is how this works. So like every like 5 minutes or so, I can just do this and it gets me levels by that. And then also like every 5 minutes or so, whenever the spiders like kind of stop spawning because there's so many, we could just go over to the spider spawner, kill them all, come back, and then boom. Yeah, this is literally what I did like last night.
Because, like, I taped my mouse. I taped my mouse shut. And, not shut. What? I taped my mouse so that, like, the right mouse button was staying down. And then I just fell asleep. Because my backpack automatically feeds me, and, like, I made sure I wasn't gonna die, you know? But yeah, like, that's what I do. Because the spider spawner still spawns, like, a whole bunch of spiders. It'd be cool if, like, I had a system to where it, like, shuts in all the spiders. So that they don't get knocked back. Like, that would be super cool. I'm thinking about switching over to Dandy's World. I'm honestly thinking about switching over to Dandy's World. I just asked in the Discord and I was like, I'm thinking about switching to Dandy's World mid-stream. I don't know why, but, like, y'all are dead. Y'all are dead. Like, 6 feet under the fucking ground, dead. Every single time I play Minecraft, and it's like, what the fuck? I'm sitting here, I am lonely. I am lonely. But yeah, that, like, right now we've got, I'll wait until this is. So, we have 12 levels, because I think we get into level just from the fishing. But now, we can just go over here. And then wait for them to gather back up a little bit. And we went from 12 to 16. And we got a whole bunch of string in the process, so we can use that string. Thank you, Ko-Fi Bot. And we'll use that string real quick. To go upstairs. And we could probably also use, like, whatever fish we caught up, but I'm not going to do that right now. So we can go over here to Fisherman. Actually, I think the Fletcher actually might buy it for cheaper. Yeah. There's that, and then we can just use the extra. So that gave us damn near about, what? Almost 6? Yeah, that gave us, like, basically 6 levels. But yeah, that's the stuff that I'm doing right now in the hardcore world. I'm probably gonna, you know, keep on playing with, like, ceilings especially in the hardcore world, because we are still waiting for that to do that. But yeah, this is the whole entire room, I guess, that I'm gonna make little rooms into. Yeah. Let's go ahead and Just give me a second. We gotta go to the BRB screen just for that. I need to redo my BRB screen. I have, like, my starting soon and ending stream. These two are all, like, good like that, but this one's just gone. It's still, like, my oldest one. Ooh. Owie. My eyes. What the fuck? Hello? What the hell was that? That was odd. That was suspicious. Let's also... I don't know why it's taking forever to load. There we go. It should be updated. There we go. I'm going from Minecraft to Dandy's World. We actually have to manage to actually join the world, though. 345 ping. Damn. Come on. Damn, why are all the runs... What the fuck? What the fuck? I immediately joined in. What the hell? Is Tisha giving birth? Why are the Tishas staying brain rot? I'm not even gonna... Oh shit, Sprout's on the board. ABC for trio, yeah. Yeah. I'd like to do the trio. I'd like to do a trio, not whatever the hell that is over there. I don't even want to know what they're talking about. That's... Ew. Ugh. Where's my chat? My chat isn't... Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. I'm not even gonna worry about what they're doing. That's concerning. We need one more for this damn trio. We just need one more person. Damn it. I thought Cosmo was gonna join. Oh, are you gonna join? Are you gonna join? Are you gonna join us? Come on. Oh. Damn you, Cosmo. Damn you, Cosmo. Come on. Come on. Yes, R&D. Where the fuck? Hello? Okay. Come on. Yay! Yippee! We actually have an actual trio! We have a trio!
Yippee! 500 ping! Oh my gosh! Holy shit! As all hell breaks loose, as all hells always do, what the hell can I do? What the fuck? No. 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 Oh no. 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 Okay. Oh my gosh. I don't... They scared me. Okay. Tisha! Barusha, the two that hate each other. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this heart. Your body, my temple, baby. Your body, my temple. Whee! We're just we're kiting these twisted so well, guys. Hell yeah. Some death. You know, I used to think that Roger had 2 stealth. Because people were like dogging on his stealth, which was very odd because, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't he have like 4-star stealth because he's a detective or something? Like, doesn't he have 3 or 4-star stealth? Trying to do the Louis slide. Come on. Yes, we're sliding. Fermenting my brain. Yada! And Tegan's back there as well. Dead meat. Blink. Okay, both of them are right here, so I'm gonna move. I'm gonna move like over here. I don't know how good this place would be, though. Oh well, this place has a spot. Your temple, baby. Your body, my temple, baby. My temple. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer due. I'm half crazy, all for the love of you. Ooh, this is also a good song. Let's see. Oh, Glisten. Glisten, get your ass to the elevator. Everybody is not at the elevator. You are not there. Unless if you're gonna teleport. Are you gonna teleport? Homie. Homie. Oh my gosh. Jeez. If we're doing blind grab, then. Oh, I got an extraction speed candy. Like, that's gonna help. Alright. I think I see a med. I'll leave that for one of the others. Done with it, sweetheart. You still picking at that? Only ate the good parts. There's not a no. There's literally not a no. Buzz breathing on my shoulder, breathing down my neck. On the same page, yet I'm getting old here. But what the heck? Pick my blood if you're breaking bad. Trying to think of where the good place to distract is. There's a machine over there. There's a machine right here. There's two machines right here, actually, I think. I think I saw two. Yes, to err is human, so don't be one. This was a mistake, I'll take my leave. But before we go, don't... no, this is the only one over here. Oh, there's one right there, though. I don't think any of them are on a machine. Homies. Bro, what the fuck are you doing? Oh my gosh. I said stay away. I don't want it. Dude, fucking grab it. What the fuck? I just heard I heard myself say fucking grab it. Thank you. Do I even have a thank you? No, I don't. Where the hell is Roger? What is Roger doing? What the fuck is he doing? Hi, Autism King. Bro, go do the machine. Roger. Go. No. Bro, if you're not gonna do these machines, I will fucking do them. I started this off with Minecraft and nobody came to watch. Nobody came to watch. So I switched to Dandy's World. What the hell are you doing? Go do the machine. He is like, I don't think he's done any machines. Remember? Wait, no. What? What? Wait, no. You didn't mean to send that. Context. Is that a goob? No, that's scraps. Wait a damn minute. That's the, Danny's Revival. No, not Danny's Revival. Whatever it's called. The one where Scraps is like, what's tomorrow? I know that art style. Bro, he's literally perishing. Bruh. Bro, oh my god. Oh my gosh. Well, now I have a thing. You created another abomination named Lolly and Sticky the Lollipops. Cries when I gave their actual twisted lore. Ooh. I see Shrimpo. I got Shrimpo. I need more people. This run kind of sucks. I shouldn't have joined this run. But at the same time, I wanted to get the hell away from that Tisha that was like fucking, I don't even know what she was doing. I think she was giving birth or something. I don't fucking know. I was concerned. You know, I think Glisten can actually handle Shrimpo. Maybe. Basically, they were Yada's old friends before she became an acrobat, until they learned about what they truly were and knew that they were going to get replaced. Ooh. So when they found out, they argued about staying together or separating. Ooh. Yeah, Glisten can handle Shrimpo. Which resulted them into turning into meme characters. Ooh. This is floor 4. Why are you trying to friend request me? I want to die in this run. And if their twisteds make a sticky twisteds make a sticky puddle around the floors to replace icky oh gosh, I can't read. Icker leak, which stuns the player for 4 seconds if they step in it. If it stuns them, do they just get stun locked? Or does it stun them whenever they get out of it? Or does it disappear whenever they go in it? I want to perish. Whenever they touch it, they freeze for 4 seconds or less. Huh. Oh my gosh, it's Tisha and Brusha. Why is bro just spamming connection requests? What the hell? First of all, earlier they were literally yelling at me to like get the fucking thingy. Is this an AFK spot? Is she gonna see me when she... I think this is an AFK spot. Just let a ghost. I don't know. Yes. Lolly makes the puddles purple, giving you stun for 1 to 2 seconds, but Sticky makes the puddles bright ass pink and makes you stun for 3 to 4 seconds. Oh my gosh, a machine. Oh shit. Oh. Oops. Whoopsies. Listen distracting? Sure, go ahead. I'm getting to the elevator. I'm gonna perish. Do I look like it? I'm gonna perish. I'm gonna perish. I got a 61. Dude, stop fucking sending me friend requests. Why is he selling so many band-aids? What the hell? Bro. Okay. Okay, what are they doing to Astro? Are we all trapping Astro? What is going on? This song is giving me memories of the time we were making Joyce's lore. They have identity crisis since they were the replacement for B, which I'm freaking out. What the hell are they doing to Astro? Why is Pebble in the floor? What the hell? What? Why is Pebble in the floor? He's in the fucking floor. Oh, there he goes. What the hell? I guess it's my time. I have decided to join them. We're just... Glisten! Your makeup... Astro is now perfect. He's getting the light. Oh! Astro is great glisten. Oop. Oh, I did it again. I did it with Pebbles. I did it with Pebble, and then I did it again kind of yesterday with Shrimpo. But we were trying to get into a run, but people would not stop chasing us. I'm going... Whoa, bro has a bomb? I'm just gonna... going into the room where it happened. I go wrong. Is Pebble fucking starting a run? Why are you starting a run here? This is a room where it oh my god, they're chasing him. Something is fishy. Even though you will lag like and probably die first floor. Oh gosh. ABC for glisten only! ABC for glisten only! Oh, I turned down my headphone.
I'm concerned. Yo, you have 99% on dial? ABC, run. Okay, I'll run. ABC for main only. This is just ABC, run. ABC, run. You better hurry up. You better hurry up. Into the block people void room? What? Just ABC, run. Come. That's not even the host. Okay. Space talking jazz. 512 ping. Okay, now it's to the 90s. 512. All right, let's get our fully decked out kit. There we go. Pebble has dog bone and dog plush. I think Pebble's a backup. Heads up, I have 200. Oh my gosh! You have 200 plus ping! I'm at 100. And as you're gasping for the last of air, you'll tra-la-la-la-la. Whoa. Okay. Well, both the we're technically not carrying the Boxtons. The Boxtons are kind of decked out with their own trinkets. Louis. That's Roger! Oopsies. Roger was right where the air horn was. Hi, Louis. I'm gonna drop a heart here. Thank you, Coffee Pot! I think someone just left. We went from 8 to 7. Someone just left. You bear a striking resemblance. It wasn't Pebble. It wasn't Blot. It wasn't Louis. Something is fishy. Maybe it was one of the Boxtons. Was it vintage Boxton? No, it wasn't vintage. Was it one of the scraps Boxton? Where are you going? Thing like hell no, only one thing left to No, 2 people left now. We have 6. Oh my gosh, why are they starting to do this twice? You appear familiar, dear. You look just like my bathroom mirror. Just got 2 fucking messages
from ban evader restricted because it's a fucking bot. Oh my gosh, we're getting so many Tusha and Brusha combos. We don't have a Sprout, so I can just yoink. Because technically I need them because I have the least tapes to get. Am I being detained? Am I under arrest? Give me my rights, please. I want my phone call. Please, policeman, no, you'll tell. Oh, please let me go. Please, policeman, is it a test? I won't know till I'm under arrest. Here's a toe. You should get to the elevator. Policeman, is it a test? I won't know till I'm under arrest. Help me. What? What do you need help from, Chipper? Oh, you motherfucker. I am actually... No, you fucking don't. No, you fucking don't. Nah, because Pebble just pissed me the fuck off. Why the fuck did you bark? Because that pisses me off. You didn't even do it at a place, like, where it was safe to, like, good to bark. Oh, and he stole a smoke bomb? I'm gonna be honest. I thought that jumper cable was a capsule. Where's the other Twisted? Oh, my fucking Band-Aid! No, I ain't getting her. My med kit. Come on, Scraps. My fucking med kit. Come on, do the loose slide. Lol. Imagine. Oh, Toodles. Oh, Garfield. Guess who's here? Don't tell me it's normal. It's normal. Uh, oh my gosh. Don't do that. You gotta try to survive as long as you can. If you're 99%, then all you... No. Yeah, if you have 99% on him, all you gotta do is just find a capsule and then boom. Yay, Louis slide. Oh my gosh, it's R&D. Oh my god, that fucking idiot. I'm not gonna lie. I think maybe after this run, I might go ahead and just go straight to bed. Cause ya boy is sleepy. Num num num. Okay, they're down. Yippee! I'm tired. I'm so tired right now. Oh my god. gosh, a med kit. I cannot use any of my items. I need to immediately find a machine. For the sake of the well is dry, oh my. I'm so tired right now. The sea is crumbling, so clear to me. Won't you There we go. Oh, it's blood. It's the baby boy. Look at him. Look at him. He's so adorable. I think real blood just walked into a wall. Oh, there's a machine by Blot. Look at this little boy. Look how cute he is. He's so cute. He's so baby. He's so adorable. I love him. Oh my gosh. I swear to God, are you failing skill checks? Let me guess you're failing skill checks. Oh, ashes, ashes, dust to dust. Devils after both of us. Lay my curses out to rest. Make a mercy out of me. Okay, scrap. Everybody else has 3-star and higher stealth, so I'll be fine. I'll be fine distracting right where Scraps is. Hi, Scraps. Hi, Scraps. I know stealth. Hi, Scraps. Bye, Scraps. Get to the elevator. When the war starts in my heart, oh, ashes, ashes, dust to dust, devils after both of us. Lay my curses out to rest, make a mercy out of me. Ashes, ashes, dust to dust. Tell me I am good enough. Lay my curses out to rest. The mercy out of I am tired. I am very tired. Your streamer and your distractor is very, very tired. What the hell was that noise? There's that soon demon in my horizon. I'm super duper tired. I wanna go back to bed right now. Balls. Balls. I wanna go to bed. Ooh, night, time. Holy shit, Buxton just flew right past me. I'm so tired right now. Nobody was in chat during Minecraft time, so I switched to Dandy's World. But I think Minecraft time made me sleepy. You know, what if I just one-handed distract? Yo.
do a sharp turn, like, one-handedly. Where did Block go? Oh, there you are. I was like, where did Block go? You're right where Dandy is. Whenever you feel a skill check with... Oh, is that... I think that's what I heard. I heard, like, a weird-ass sound, and I was like, what the hell is that?
Oh my gosh, it's bright moon. Is there a blackout? It is a blackout. I can't fucking see. Holy shit, what was that? I couldn't see. Teach me to make moonshine, and we'll get drunk on the spirits of the air. When I walk the equator, chasing the night, little do I know it orbits close behind. I might remember or might assume, but I only turn around every once in a red, red moon. I said I turn around. Wait to do the machine closest until until the last one. Blot, do the one that's second oh. Never mind. Pebble's like right there. I think that's Pebble. Is that Pebble? No, I think Pebble left. Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh my gosh. Pebble had left. I didn't even notice. He wasn't really contributing much. I think Scraps used to be a distractor as well. I'm headcanon Scraps to be a distractor. Little do I know it all is close behind. I might remember or might have seen, but I only turn around every once. Buxton, why the fuck did you go that way? Why did you go that way? Why did you go that way? You gave me a heart attack, Buxton. Oh my god. Give me that. I'm fucking leaving them to you, bro. The fucking box of chocolates. Nah, I ain't distracting. I ain't distracting in this shit. I ain't distracting in this shit. Watch what they do without the fucking distractor. Also, watch what happens whenever I turn my graphics quality all the way up and and try to distract there. You know what? I'm extracting. My fucking box of chocolates, man. Dude took them right in front of me, right whenever I was trying to get them. You wanted to take that right in front of me? You ain't getting no distractor this floor. No distractor this floor. Oh. You know, it would be kind of funny if I died. Then I could go to bed. This is terrifying to see. Ah, yes. Max quality Dandy's World. Max quality Dandy's World. Everything is smooth. Everything is shiny. Who died? Bro, it was both Boxtons. Bro took a Bach and left. Bro took a Bach and left. It's Goob! Oh my frames. I need to turn my graphics quality down again. Holy shit. Turned it up as a joke. It'd be kind of funny if I just died to Goob. Not a good time, not a good time, not a good time, not a good time! Oh shit, I am so sorry. I am so tired right now. Chat, I am like so tired right now. Stretch, okay. And I'm gonna hydrate real quick. Hydration complete. My gosh, a band-aid. And it's Poppy. Is there another one? Wait, Roger's here? To me, baby, I was left and it's right. It's easier to use and never to be used to on a fucked up Saturday night. I'm like really tired right now. Second bandage in the awkward corner of someone's on the room. Oh my god, there was a third band-aid. I got one. There was a third band-aid. Hello. I am very tired. Please excuse the tiredness. This might be my last run. I started out with Minecraft and then I went to Dandy's World because, you know. But now I'm like super tired right now. Well, the evidence supports the truth. Is any enough proof for you? Yes, to my lady, and I'm coming inside. Drink to me, baby, or what's left or what's right. It's Eve. Views due on a fucked up Saturday night. Honestly, if nobody else takes that, I might take it. Yeah. I might take it, honestly. Because since I am tired, I am more prone to making mistakes. We just gotta get a head start and then... Boom. Oh, that's Roger. Let's not pick up the Roger capsule. Hi, Roger. What was that sound that just came out of my throat? Also, I do have to go to bed soon because you're trying to beat your high floor of 82. Dang. Yeah, mine's 36. I honestly want to go... I want to try getting in a run with a world record holder and be like a backup distractor for them. Just so that, like, you know. Yeah. Because I only do public runs anyways. Like, this was a public run that started... Thank you, Go My Butt! This was a public run that started with, 8 people. And then everybody fucking died. The 2 Boxons that were here, the normal one, gave me a heart attack, and then literally the next floor, the vintage one, like... Are you feeling your skill checks? Tism King, are you feeling your skill checks? I can hear, like, the sound. But, like... Vintage Boxon apparently took a box of chocolates, literally took it right in front of me, and then apparently left. You made it to floor 32 as Shrimpo? Damn. Your ping was at 1,000? Mine's just chilling at 96. Or in like the 90s. Also, if you want to join the Discord, it's for my stream. I need more, like, kind of hybrid Dandy's World Minecraft people, by the way. Because
everybody comes while I'm playing Dandy's World, but then nobody comes while I'm playing Minecraft.
So I need more people in my Minecraft chat. We have the Discord, cause it's pretty cool. You could, oh gosh. Sprout floor? Blackout? Sprout floor? It's a sprout floor. Yeah. Sprout floor's lighting messes it up. I think it's because they use the daytime skybox instead of like the nighttime, I think. Yeah, but you could still watch. I need to find Tisha. And there's Connie. There's another band-aid. 2000 ping! Are we playing Ring Around the Rosie? I swear I just saw Twisted right there. Who the fuck did I just see? Who did I just see? Huh? I already got Tisha. There's a bottle of pop. I already have a bottle of pop. Oh, it's Toodles. And it's Connie as well. Shadows singing. I already know there's a bandage here. I already know about it. I know about the band-aid. Where the fuck did Scraps go? Scraps said bandage here and then immediately left. Bro, what the hell? Bro. Bro. No. Why do I have to be stuck with the laggy person? Alone. No offense, no offense. Why do I have to be stuck with someone who has 2000 plus ping? What is your graphics quality at, dude? What other tabs are open on your laptop or computer or phone or want death? Well, when I die, then I'm gonna... You have 99 on Shelly. Your high floor is because you wanted to get her, but for the whole run, you got every main except her. Damn. Tism King, this is gonna be my last one. You're on mobile? Oh my gosh, I can see you actively lagging. You're on mobile with nothing else and it's just you walking like that. You need to end our stuff. I do too. I really love this song too. Oh well, you motherfucker. Why would you even do that? Well, I guess this is the end of the run then? I guess we're ending the run? Holy cow! Driving with your daughter, it's driving with my darling. I'm a fool. Tried to drink underwater. Driving with my darling. Faster than I should. Driving with my darling. Forever if we could. Drive. No. Damn it. There you go. You got killed by Tisha.
beautiful freedom, said Tism Cake. I'm gonna find somebody to raid. Your boy is tired.
If you haven't joined the Discord already, join it. If you have not joined the Discord and already, join it. I'll put the link again real quick before we start a raid. I'm gonna start doing a stream schedule. I'm probably gonna post it tonight, maybe. Tonight, maybe for next week. Your Roblox, sorry, because you... Honestly, I don't know why people, hated Starry so much. I'm not gonna lie. So many people hated Starry. You had 2,247 ping. Holy cow. Holy cow, that's a lot. That is a lot of ping. But yeah, me sleepy. I'm gonna see who is live that I'm following. Medicine Man. Whoa. Oh, MEQ's doing a subathon. I'm gonna go ahead and raid them then. They're doing a subathon. You guys are rocks, by the way. Y'all are rocks. You throw yourselves at the rock. Or you throw yourself at the raidie because you guys are rocks. So whenever you go into the raid, you guys go rock raid because it's cool because you guys are rocks, you know? Anyways, have a nice day, night, whatever time it is for you. Be nice, be cool, be chill to the raidie. You have green obsidian in your room. Oh my gosh, you have a green knee. Rock raid, cover your head. Anyways, have a nice day, night, whatever time it is for you. Be cool, be safe, be nice to the raidie. Have fun, have a nice sleep.